Opposite Gloves here, and today we're going to be looking at a sort of distorted, pitch shifted, vocoded, resynthesized vocal example. It's like, holy crap, could you toss anything else in there? Type of example, but it's actually pretty subtle. You wouldn't know that all these things are in there. They were sort of used according to what I knew they would contribute to the sound. Now, there are these three. I'm going to challenge you to listen and guess what I did to them. I will give you a hint that there's some pitch shifting going on. I want to challenge you to identify which algorithms you think they are. Pick between the ones that you have the choice of. Down here, these look like they're audio, but they're actually recorded. I was doing Resynthesis, but the processing was pretty intensive because I was using a couple other options, like I was using a unison and stuff. So I went ahead and rendered it out. And so these are actually Resynthesis. We're not going to be focusing on those. I'll mention those briefly. We're going to be looking mostly at these guys. So here we go.
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim. Dawn and dusk is not a must when the light starts to dim. You'll see the day with fire rules. No shield, no chance of fighting cruel. And when the ashes start to clear, you'll see the sun is nowhere near. Floating in the void of space. The night is endless as the day. The senses call for something more than what we gave them before.
So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, we're going to be focusing on this again. So let's go ahead. I'm going to give you one more shot. I want you to tell me what I did to these things.
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim. Dawn and dusk is not a must when the light starts to dim.
So that's probably made it a little bit easier for you to tell. But there is actually, if you listen for it, there is that lower pitch shifted guy. He sounds like the generic algorithm, one of the speech ones. It doesn't sound like one of the mono ones. The other two sound like it's a dead giveaway. There's definitely mono pitch shifting down or RM or something that gives that crunchy vibe to it. If we look, it's like, oh, look at E3 mono pitch shifted down an octave. And I know that I did this, so like, no duh, like what the processing is. And this one's actually the generic. It's not the speech. But if I was listening, I would have guessed it was maybe the speech, resample, something that gives sort of that lower stuff. And this is just giving sub support. So let's go ahead and solo these. So first off, we have this guy. And, oh yeah, what I was going to say is, though, I would definitely still be able to tell that it was like something. Like, I would still know, even though I did it, I would still know, like, oh, if I wanted to do something like that, that's what I do. That's why I did this to hopefully show you that you should be able to tell what stuff's going on at this point. So anyways, here we have this, and we've got a slight bend down. I actually liked what it did to the sound. If we get rid of it,
the night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim.
You can tell there's actually a little bit more happening there. We're going to look at that in a second. Next up, we have this one. This is the one that's been pitch shifted down the whole octave.
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim.
And you see this one's not going in the same channel, so it comes out just the way it is, just contributing that sort of texture. I like what it does for this style of a vocal. And then our last one. I really get a kick out of stuff like this. So this is just that low thing. It's just giving support. So when it's in there, it's just supporting it.
And I will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim. Dawn and dusk is not a...
And you see that we get this distorted feeling to it too. We definitely have distortion. And I think it actually works for the vocal in this case. What is causing that? Well, it's a combination of everything coming together and this not being really all that mixed. But the other thing is, let's look at this guy. So this is 23, right? Let's go look at track 23. There's, of course, mixing and stuff. We're not going to look at that too much right now. But you see there's a wave shaper in there. So that's where the distortion's coming from. But let's go ahead and look at this. So we have the MC subtle. And let's see what the vocal sounds like if we get rid of this.
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim.
So that's what I had to work with. And then I went...
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim.
I liked how it gave it that variation. And I kind of enjoyed that. So I went for that. I literally just picked this and left it on C. I was like, that sounds good to me, and moved on with my life. So...
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim. Dawn and dusk is not a must when the light starts to dim.
That's how I made this. Now let's go ahead and look at... So those are the big decisions. Let's break it down into a couple smaller decisions now. So we have this one's just going out to the master, like nothing there. And then this one's going into 22. On 22, we have an EQ, so a little boost, some distortion, which is where we get that crunch. Without it...
The night will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim, dawn to dusk.
I mean, it's a lot cleaner, but when you play it in the context of the track, I kind of like this quite a bit more.
And I will rise again. Ashes fall, fire brim.
It's just more aggressive, edgy, that kind of a feeling. Then we get some compression going. Here I just used this for gains, just pushing gain up on different bands, I guess. That was it. So just basically a EQ. And then we have a fruity reverb too. And it's reverbing my stuff for me, and it's doing it the way I want. Now the high cut, you'll notice, it's got an interesting high cut here. That's what's contributing to that. It's the high sound, because it's a little counterintuitive. When this thing is up, it's letting high frequencies through. When it's down, like this is like,
and I will rise again.
Now verse is this.
And I will rise again.
So you see, it's actually letting the high stuff through. So it's a little counterintuitive. Now, I have a thing on that in the FL 12 effects series. Okay, so these guys down here, they're pretty straightforward. They were just in processing intensive. But here's the patches where they were. They're vocal phrase 1 and 2. And if you come into Harmor, you actually have these presets underneath template. Song synced 4, song sync resynthesis. So I dragged my vocal into there, and I had a 4-bar. It is halftime. So it's actually not like 4 bars in the strict sense, but I made it look at it like the way I wanted it to. I recorded out the phrases that I wanted because besides it being processing intensive, I was having issues with it playing back the way I wanted. So one of the easy go arounds is you just simply get the thing you want, chop it the way you want it, and then just put it in the track. So that's exactly what I did. And there's some filter movements and some unison and some chorus and some reverb and some compression and some delay. So there's a little bit going on. There's sub, and I mean, like, I was going crazy, man. Added a resynthesis. Let's go at it. It is bright, and this hasn't been mixed yet. So I would definitely I'd put a de-esser or something on there. This wouldn't be a de-essing it for the de-essing. This would be calming those filter sweeps that I have, because that's really what's causing is that resonance when the filter sweep goes by. So I'd probably put a TDR Nova, do some dynamic equalization, and it would come out sounding quite nice. This should be pretty straightforward because you know how to tune your vocals. I believe this was my original one. Bring on your night shield. No, that was the vocal that I sent into there. Were these the originals? One of these is the original. Bring on your night shield. Nope, those are more variations. So you see, at this point, this is a pretty actually complex thing. I have layers everywhere doing all sorts of things. And bring on your night shield. That's it. So that was my original take. And then you take it in there, you tune it, you go through all this stuff, you write out the chords, all this stuff I cover in previous videos. So it should be pretty straightforward, but you are pretty much now, you know a lot about vocal processing. I mean, there's more stuff. It's really just about being creative once you know these general principles. And that is how I made the vocals in this track. You've seen examples of distortion. You've seen examples of vocoding. You've seen examples of mixing. You've seen examples of real-time pitching. You've seen examples of resynthesis. You've seen examples of tuning, creating your own harmonies. You've just seen tons. You've seen projects in various stages and forms, and a lot of stuff in context and stuff a little bit out of context. And I hope this has just been useful for you. There may be more videos in the future as I add them as I see fit, but this is pretty much it. That's really like, after this, it's just being creative. There's always going to be more plugins and stuff you could do, but you've even seen examples of parallel processing and routing and buses and things like that. Like de-essing, stuff like that. So you've really got a handle on vocals. If you found this helpful or useful, please subscribe and share this with someone and support me on Patreon. I really appreciate it. It allows me to continue to do what I love to do. So thanks for watching and have a blessed day.